Hi everyone, I'm Mrs. D. Priyadarshini from the Department of Cybersecurity. Today we are going to discuss about arrays. What are arrays? The C language provides a capacity that enables the user to design a set of similar data types called array. Array is a collection of homogeneous elements which stores in a continuous memory location starts from the index 0. The first element in the array is numbered as 0 so that the last element is 1 less than the size of the array. Example, if the array is of size 10, the ninth element, that is the 10th element of the array indexed with the number 9. An array is a collective name given to the group of similar quantities. Each member in a group is referred by its position in the group. The array is a collection of similar data elements. The data elements can be of any type of basic data types like integer, float, character, etc. Usually the array of characters is called a string, whereas the array is ints or floats is called simple an array. All elements of a given array must be sized and declared. The array declaration is merely like a normal variable which consists of data type and the name of the array, and it has to be mentioned with the size of the array within the square bracket. Example, int mark 30. The int is a data type of an array and the name of the array is marks and the size of the array is 30. The mark can hold 30 individual values starts from the position 0 to the 29th position. The int is a data type. Likewise, all the basic data types can be declared with the arrays. The accessing elements of an array can be done with specifying the position of the element. Say for an example, if I want to retrieve the first mark in an array, I can represent that as a mark of 0. If I want to access the number that is last of an array, I can able to represent that as a mark 29. The mark of 29 is the last element, that is we have stored in a form of a stack which can able to give the least element whichever it is stored. The entering of the data into an array is similar to the normal variable, but each and every individual values can be stored with the help of an loops. Here is an example for accessing the data from the user. The array index starts from 0 so that the loop was starting with 0 and which is less than or equal to 29. That is the size of the array is 30. So that each and every time when I entered a mark, the mark will be stored in the ith position and it will be incremented by 1. If the first mark is 20, the mark of 0 is equal to 20. Use the for loop is a better way to accessing the array in spite of using while loop. The first time through the loop I has a value 0 so that the scan function will cause the value type to be stored in an array element marked as mark 0. That is mark of 0, the first element of the mark. The accessing of or reading data from an array is similar to storing the values in the array. It can be accessed by using a for loop which we can able to print on the screen. Here is an sample for an addition of a mark with the another mark, calculating an average and displaying the average for the marks. The for loop consists of 29 elements, that is 30 elements starts from the positioning 0 to 29, and we are adding the mark with the sum and finding the average of all the 30 marks and we are going to display it on the screen. The sum is equal to sum plus mark of I, that is each and every time the loop is incrementing, getting the value of the next value, that is next positioned value, and it will be calculated with sum, and average is calculated with the formula average is equal to sum by 30. The array is a very popular data types in a C programming. The initialization of array can be done not only by accessing from the user. During the declaration itself we can initialize the values of an array. Here is an example for how to initialize during a declaration. Int num of 6, that is num is a variable type. int is a data type, and 6 is the size of the array of num. So all the 6 values I am going to give during the declaration itself, which should be in an curly braces. If I am not specifying the size of the array, any number of elements can be represented. In the second example, it was given with an int n of. That is, there is no specification of the size of an array. So that the elements can be of any size, but the data type should be similar. The boundary here is an greatest disadvantage using an array in C programming. In C, there is no check to see if the subscript used for an array exceeds the size of an array. Say for an example, if the size of an array is 30, if I give 32 elements, there is no limitations here it was shown, so that the 30 elements will be stored in an array and the 2 elements will be stored out of the array. The data entered with the subscript exceeds the array size will simply be placed in a memory outside the array. That is probably the top of the other data, or might be in the program itself. This is a simple program to explain how array works. The program to find the average of a mark obtained by the class of 30 students. We are going to get 30 marks for each and every single subject. I am going to average the 30 students mark to find the sum and average. Here is an example where I am going to give the mark as an array, which is a basic data type of integer. I am going to get all the 30 students mark in mark 1, that is mark 0, mark 1, mark 2 till mark is equal to 29. I am going to add all the mark and it is going to be displayed with the average by calculating average is equal to sum by 30. There are types of array exist in C programming. 2-dimensional arrays, 3-dimensional arrays and multi-dimensional arrays are also provided. So far we have discussed only the 1-dimensional array, but now we can able to discuss about 2, 3 and multi-dimensional arrays. It is also possible for array to have 2 or more dimensions. The 2-dimensional array is also known as matrix. The 2-dimensional array is nothing but a collection of numbers of 1-dimensional array placed one below one. Here is an example for 2-dimensional array specified in row and column. This is an example of how to declare and access the 2-dimensional array. Int student 4, 2, that is the size of the array of a student is 4, 2. That is, it consists of 4 rows and 2 columns. The initialization of 2-dimensional array can be done during the declaration as of a single dimensional array. It can be achieved with the help of an declaring by a angle bracket, that is a curly braces, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is the student 4, that it consists of 4 values, whereas the 2 consists of 2 values. The memory mapping of 2-dimensional array can be done by the sample method shown below. The first element will be stored in the column 0, 0, that is column 0 and row 0, whereas the next element will be stored in column 1, row 0. The next element will be in the row 0, column 1. So that all the elements, probably if the 2-dimensional array size is of 2, 2, 2, then there is a 4 elements combinations will be there in the 2-dimensional array. Then there is a 3-dimensional array is also possible in C programming. The 3-dimensional array can also be declared like a single or 2-dimensional arrays, but it consists of 3 array index. This is a memory mapping of how the 3-dimensional array is stored in the memory. The 3-dimensional array has an X, Y and Z axis, where X represents a row and Y represents a column and Z represents another things. The linear problem can be of the 3-dimensional arrays, that is 2-dimensional array, 1-dimensional array might have only rows and columns, where the 3-dimensional array have an X column, etc. That's all about arrays. We'll discuss the next topic in the next video. Thank you.